Welcome back, David. We are especially excited today as to how the story will continue after the last information you presented.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. And I'll get straight to the point. Yes, this is going to shock people, and there'll be people on both sides. Yes, they'll have to do the research themselves. There's no point in screaming, ah! Yes, but what do you call it? Yes, Palestine does not exist. Okay. Yes, okay, I'm going to get straight down to it because some people are going to say, what the hell? What do you mean Palestine doesn't exist? Free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, free, free Palestine, blah, blah, blah. Okay, I'm going to give the introduction straight away so that people can go and check themselves. But the details, I'll give you them in a minute. Palestine actually is in Poland. Yes, it's in Europe. It's actually named after Polishstein. Yes, and the name Stein or Stan, yes, actually comes from like we got Western or Sweden, and we got Eastern or Estonia. That's Estonia, and ton comes from the word Eden. Yes, garden. Yes. And in the Middle East, especially, they have places like Uzbekistan. Yes, Stan or Tan, or in England, we got Lantan. Dan comes from the word Garden of Eden. Yes, somebody's beautiful place. So Polishtan, Palestine. Palestine is in Poland, guys. Where is the proof? I'm going to go through it right now, and people are going to be surprised. Yes, the first thing is everyone turns around and says the British took over Palestine from the Turks. That's what they tell you, the Ottoman Turks. But when we have a look at in the Middle East, there was war going on. Yes, here we have what do you call it? Yes, from Germany we have Colonel Wilhelm Leopold Kolmar Freiherr von der Goltz. Yes, and he was Goltz Pasha. Yes, Ottoman German commander in World War One, fighting the British. Of course, they've falsified his history, and they wrote he died on the 19th of April. His father spent 19 years in the Prussian army. Yes, they falsified the history so that we can't find the true history, so that people will think that the Germans and the Turks were two separate entities. Yes, they were part of the same empire, but they split up. Yes, so when we check through his history, what we find is that this colonel from Germany, he was serving for the Prussian forces, an invented name like Prussia. One day they call it United States, one day they call it the Americans, one day they say the English, one day they say the British, one day they say the UK. He was colonel of Prussia for the Prussians, for the Germans, and the Ottoman. Yes, and he was a pasha. Yes, an Ottoman pasha from the Middle East. Well, from so now let me get straight to the point. Poland. Yes, what do you call it? Right now, we have in the Middle East what they call Palestine or Israel. We have Jewish military forces there, or a military union that took place in 1948 that formed, and after that it developed into the Israeli Defense Forces. That's one, and Mossad another. There was other groups before. You have to read my books to understand the Irgun and the Haganah. Yes, there was a Jewish military union in Europe. Yes, in Poland, in Polish, Stein, Polish, yes, and what do you call it? Yes, and it was formed, they will say it was formed in 1939. Yes, but the thing is, the Jewish army was already in Palestine or Polishstein. It was already in Poland. Yes, what was it doing in Poland? Poland was, they were Polish, so therefore they were Polishstein. Yes, Palestinians, they were Palestinians. This is where the name Palestinians comes from, or Palestine. And today, the Arabs have been given this name. It is not their name or anything. I'm going to go through the proof. Yes, that there is no such evidence whatsoever of a Palestine or anything existing. And then what do you call it? There's going to be many history, and many people will turn and say, hey, what do you call it? Yes, there were Jews in the Polish army, and it was a separate army. They falsified the history of World War II. Like, for example, they'll turn and say there was over 100,000 Jews, but this is during the wartime we're talking about. Imagine if the Third World War or Armageddon, the Third World War takes place, then what do you call it? Yes, and the Americans fight in the Middle East, then people will turn and say, hey, there was the Israelis joined the Americans and etc. And they'll turn around and say, hey, there's thousands of Jews in the army. Yes. So what is going on in World War One? That Germany is fighting against the German Ottoman are fighting against the British in the Middle East. Yes. What is going on? Yes. So what do you call it? Yes. We are turned around. We are told today that what you call it, there was ghettos in Europe. Yes. In Poland and in Eastern Europe. Eastern Europe. Yes. For example, Warsaw Ghetto in Krakow, Krakow and other things. And there was Jewish military organizations, yes, or the Jewish army. Right now, we're told that the settlements in Palestine, yes, it doesn't matter if it's on the Palestinian side or the Israeli side, whichever side of the border, people are staying separate. Yes. So what do you call it? Yes. What do you call it? Yes, and we're told if you went to Israel or to the settlement, there's Jewish military and Jewish Israeli police officers. We see a similar thing in Palestine or in Poland. Yes, Jewish policemen guarded inside the walls, etc. Yes, and outside on the other side, it's not about outside or inside. There's Warsaw and there's other settlements, Jewish settlements in Poland. Yes, or in Palestine. Yes, and what do you call it? On the other side, there's what do you call it? The Germans or the Polish or whatever patrolling. And then when we look at the Middle East on the other side, there's the Jordanians, the patrolling on the other side of the West Bank or the Palestinian Authority. Yes, and then we've got the Egyptians patrolling on the other side of Gaza. And then on the other side, we've got the Lebanese patrolling on the other side of the Golan Heights, etc. So now this is very important because if you don't understand what happened in Poland or Palestine, you will not understand what is happening in Palestine today. Yes, and where the name actually came from. Yes, so everybody knows that there was a war going on in World War II. For example, the Warsaw Ghetto, many people know about it. And the thing is, if you want more details about what was happening, yes, in Poland, yes, then you'll have to read my books about that for the exact details. Now, I have noticed there are some comments, I call them ridiculous and stupid, saying, what do you call it? Yes, David's pointing out the number 19 and events in Israel and Palestine and saying they're not relevant. The thing is, it's because I call it pathetic because the thing is, people have been protesting about Palestine and Israel for 100 years. Nothing's changed. So it shows the results. Yes, nothing has changed with the agenda or the plan. Now, if people don't know the history, then they can just carry on going shouting on the streets. I stand with Israel. I stand with Israel. Free, free Palestine. Free, free Palestine. And just shouting each other's heads off like football fans. Yes, and it doesn't get anywhere. Yes, unless if you understand the history, and it's not about the numbers, it shows it's a plan. And the thing is, there's some idiots who haven't read my books or who haven't investigated things. I'm calling them idiots because it's not a joke. People are getting hurt on both sides, and it could turn into World War III. So it's not a joke. Yes, I like my lifestyle. I don't want to see anything going wrong in Europe. I live in Europe. Yes, I don't want an Armageddon to start in the Middle East and it will spread. Yes, nobody does. Yes, so the thing is, if we really understand the history, then we'll understand more. Yes, so the thing is, some people have said, hey, we know some of these events happened. What do you mean you know these events happened? Just because the television and the newspaper said it, and you're seeing some actors, Mahmoud Abbas, yes, Itzhak Rabin, and all these people going to meetings, etc., etc. They're just actors. Yes, if you look at it more and look at the numerical patterns, then you can see they've chosen specific dates, specific locations, and everything. It's to do with astrology. And then specifically Muslims commented, yeah, don't they read their own Quran where it says that the unbelievers or the people who don't believe, yeah, are looking for signs in the stars and something to do with jinns or geniuses that are going to trying to hear from the assembly to steal information. Yes, and the astrological stars, the way they're set out based on the number 19, it's a very important thing. It's not a joke. Yes, and our clock is based on the flower of life, 60 minutes, all these things. Yes, and does not the Quran even say, hey, we put amongst the signs of God, you know, are what you see around you and what is created, and it's there for your benefit and to use for time and for other things. That's how we invented the clock. Yes, the clock is based on the number 19, by the way, in case anybody's going to say, really? Yeah, read my books and then you'll know. Yes, and the current clock we've got. Well, anyway, then there's more. So in many Jewish settlements or ghettos, you want to call them in Europe, they had their own currency. Oh, same like in Israeli settlements today, they have their own currency. Yes, what do you call it? Yes, but here, of course, they're giving their opinion and saying we think this was done to make the false sense of normalcy. So now tomorrow, if Israel does not exist, let's say a war starts and people get hurt. Yes, and then what do you call it? Then the Muslims and the Arabs are, of course, going to say, "Hey, what do you call it? Yes, the Israeli government gave out the shekel to give a false sense of normalcy. Yes, when that was not the currency of the region, and they came from Europe. Yes, from Poland especially. Yes, Palestine. Yes. So the thing is, you know, the way the historians reported, that's an opinion. Yes, there was a currency there. Yes, they had currencies, same like there's currencies in Lebanon and all these things. Yes, for a false sense of normalcy. So now, next thing, Poland became. Look at this. Poland became the shelter for Jews persecuted and expelled from various European countries. The world's largest Jewish community, they say, by the 17th century. Yes, but the thing is, if anybody has not read my books, they will not be able to figure out a bit of a timeline. Yes, but from in my book, this is a very important book. Yes, because it's got to do with the French. What did the French have to do with Palestine and Poland? Yes, same today with the British and the French and the Sykes-Picot Agreement or the Picot-Sykes Agreement of dividing the Middle East. Yes, so if you don't read the details, it's not my problem. Yes, the thing is, we can see that they've repeated the history of Napoleon from in the 1780s, there's one Napoleon. Then in the 1880s, there's another Napoleon. Yes, it's like there's 100-year repeat. So we can take off 100 years, yes, of false history. So it looks like it's not the 17th century, but the 18th century that mysteriously many Jewish people turn up in Poland and they're being persecuted. They've suddenly appeared in Europe in the 18th century, and they're in Poland. Yes. So I've sent you one. So there it says in the 17th century on that one. But the thing is, because historians are liars, when we read it here, they say Poland was the largest and most significant Ashkenazi Jewish community, European Jews. Yes, center of the Jewish people. And it says it's ended after the partitions of Poland in the 18th century. For some reason, yes, the European neighbors invaded this place and they separated or got rid of it. Yes, something was wrong with Poland. Yes, same like today, all the neighbors, Turkey, Iran, Syria, Egypt, wherever you go, everybody seems to want to, you know, remove Israel. Something is wrong. Yes, something is wrong. Yes, and then many people will talk about it. And the thing is, many people think, hey, the Palestinians today, these Arabs are actually Palestinians. No, they're not. Yes, the name was invented from the name Palestine. Yes, because Poland or Polish, yes, they became known as the Jews of Europe, and they were the ones who went to the Middle East and they took the name with them, Palestine.
Hmm.
Palestine, like what do you call it? Yes, Uzbekistan. Yes, what do you call it? Pakistan, Pakistan. Yes, it's just the pronunciation. So what do you call it? Yes, many people will comment and say it was the Zionists who call it Palestine. Yes, it was the Zionists, whoever they were. The history of Zionism is a lie. Yes, but if anybody thinks it's because they were living in Palestine, yes, the Eden of the Polish time, when they moved, they took the name with them. You see? Yes. So they took the name. Can you see this,
Right.
Raphael?
Yes. Hmm.
Yes. So now let me show you an example. What do you call it? Yes. Um, so here today we've got what do you call it? Yes, an activist, um, an Arab activist. Yes. In what they call Israel or Palestine. Yes, they're going to call her a Palestinian. Even they have started saying we're Palestinians, but they're not. They're actually just local people. You can call them Arabs or you could call them Ottoman. Yes, but I will give you their correct name. Please just wait. Bear with me. So this information is not hidden. People can find what do you call it? Yes, the Jews had their own governments there in Poland or in Palestine. Yes, people will. Today, historians call it autonomy because the historians did not recognize the existence of the Jewish people in Poland. Yes, so in the future, the Muslims want to remove Israel because it's causing so many problems. So one day the Muslims will turn around and say, no, the Jews were there as occupiers. They had their own autonomy. It was our land. That's what the Muslims say. It's our land. We've lived here for centuries. That's what the Arabs say. Yes or no, Raphael? Yes?
Indeed. Yes. Hmm.
Yes. So of course, when they write the history, yes, one day they're going to say, "Hey, they had their autonomy, their self-government." Yes, in Israel, and they called it Israel. Yes. So Israel is self-governing. Yes, and what do you call it? So now, when we come to the Balfour Declaration, yes, even that history is a forgery, and everything. We will see the involvement of the British and the French. Yes. So what do you call it? Yes. So they keep talking about a Jewish state. Yes, that the Jewish state was to be created in Palestine, Poland. Yes. So was this actually referring to the Middle East, or was it referring to Poland? Or has that document been forged? Was this Balfour Declaration something earlier, even in the 1850s and 60s, to create an independent Jewish state in Poland? That's why it was called Palestine. Yes? And what do you call it? The reason why the Israelis are a minority in the Middle East, there's a billion Muslims surrounding them. So what do you call it? The Jews could not make their own proper state on Polish territory. Yes, nor could they unite. Same like in Arab territory in the Middle East, Israel is still not a proper state. It's because it doesn't control the West Bank fully. It doesn't control the Gazans. East Jerusalem, the people have refused to recognize Israel. They've refused Israeli passports and many things. So the thing is, historians to this day, they call it an autonomous state. It's just a fake word, autonomy or self-governing. Yes, isn't that what Israel is? It's self-governing. Yes. So what do you call it? Yes, many people will turn around and say there were Jewish settlements in Poland. We hear the same thing. Jewish settlements in the Middle East, what they call Palestine today. Yes, and there was migration, more and more Jewish people coming. Yes, what do you call it, to this Palestine in Poland. Yes, there was migration there coming from Germany, from the German provincial states. They were coming from France or from Frankfurt. Frankfurt is very important because it's named after Pharaoh, the fort of Pharaoh in the heart of West Germany. That's a very important history many people don't know. So what do you call it? Yiddish was the official language in this Polish Palestine state settlements throughout Poland and Ukraine and Lithuania, because it was called, they don't give us a clear history. They say after the Renaissance, Polish, Lithuanian Commonwealth, etc. There is more to this. And the Yiddish is a mixture of, what do you call it, German dialects, Slavic dialects, mixture of Hebrew, which was originally Arabic. Yes, so that's why it's the language is something else. But anyway, the thing is that this is what they will tell you in history. They will say there were many attempts to integrate the Jewish people into European unity, like a Prussian state or a German state or anything. There was attempts, same like the Arabs are right now. They've tried many times to actually integrate Israel, or the Jewish people who are living there right now. Yes, integrate them into the local societies of the billion Muslims that are around them. Yes, and that's why they say they don't recognize Israel, and they say, what do you call it? Yes, if the people are here, let them integrate. Yes, it would be an evil thing to say, hey, let's wipe the people off the map or throw them into the sea. They came from Europe. But we have to look at the circumstances. Why did they come? They were genuinely being persecuted. Yes. And what do you call it? Yes. We see many Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, Indians, Turkish, Iranians who are at these protests, free Palestine. But let's have a look. Yes, what's exactly going on in the Middle East? These are very important issues. Yeah, what do you call it? Yes, in the Gulf countries, 10,000 Asian migrant workers die in the Gulf every year. Who knows? Maybe it's 5,000 or something. It could be exaggerated, or it could be even more. Yes, but let's just have a look at the situation in Arab countries. South Asian labor workers, Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, Nepal, Sri Lanka. Yes, they get um, face physical abuse, getting slapped, sexual abuse, things like this in these Middle Eastern Arab countries. Yes, which nobody seems to talk about. Not only that, yes, they're building these Arab countries into beautiful places. Yes,
Right.
and what do you call it? They're getting paid slave labor wages. Isn't it supposed to be a Muslim Brotherhood thing? Yes, they're getting paid peanuts. Yes, and they're when I was traveling in those countries, do you want to know the truth? I was actually waiting because I fly around very often. So when I was flying around in that region, because I wanted to go to as many cities as possible, yeah, for the huge distances, and I was in a queue. Yes, and in that queue, everybody was from Pakistan, Bangladesh, or India. Do you know what happened? The airport security came over to me and said, "You're in the wrong queue." And he said it in front of them, and he said, "That's for them." I said, "Who's them?" And he said, "Them, poor
Wow.
people." I couldn't believe it, and he said, "This way, please." Yeah, I was totally shocked. The thing is, I didn't know what to do. So instead, I said, it's okay. And because I smoke, I turned and said, "Where's the smoking room?" I just went to the smoking room instead. When I came back, I just sat down waiting for the flight because I didn't want to insult him or insult the crowd either. But these are the cities they're building. Skyscrapers like, we could turn around and say like Miami or Chicago. Yes. So the thing is, it's well known. This is not hidden. Yes. Here is many people are asking, why do they get treated like garbage? Afghan workers, Pakistan workers. Yeah. So the thing is, it's not just about Palestine. This is a very deep subject. Yes. So now we're hearing, yes, in London, in Paris, everywhere. It's Moroccans as well. It's Egyptians. They're being treated like trash because if they're from a poor country, they're treated like trash in the Middle East for some reason. Yeah. So people are from Morocco. They're protesting Algeria. They're protesting Egyptians in Paris. Yeah, Bangladeshis, Pakistanis. Yes, Indians. So what the hell is going on here? And people will turn around and say, "Hey, it's for human rights." What about the human rights for thousands of people who are dying? Yes, thousands. Yes, it doesn't sound like a joke that for the Qatar at that time F4 or World Cup or something. Yes, around that time 10,000 people died. Yeah, Imagine if Israel wiped off 10,000 people off the map. I'm not justifying anything. I'm saying, hey, if you're going to protest, why don't you protest for everything? Yes. And what about Karabakh? What's going on there? The entire population has just left last week. Yes. Let me just show you. It's a sad story. I don't see people protesting for Karabakh. Yes. Yes. So the thing is, that was a Muslim country, Azerbaijan, that was involved. What do you call it? The thing is, yes. The thing is, they turn around and say the Armenians just left. Many Armenians will say we got expelled, but then what do you call it? Yes, the Azerbaijanis will turn around and say, hey, what do you call it? Yes, they did that to us too, 300,000 people or something. But two wrongs don't make a right. So if people are going to be just standing in for one issue, I don't call that Christianity. Yes, where I was surprised by the large number of Christians who are protesting for the Palestinians. Yes, the thing is this time. So the thing is, why is nobody talking about up to about 80,000 or 100,000 Armenians have just they've just left ghost cities. Yes, you could find they've just left their homes, everything, just before last week. It's just an international scandal, and there's big queues, roads, everything. So now the thing is, if people are going to talk about Israel, they must speak about Karabakh too, and about all other conflicts. And hey, the thousands of people who are dying, yes, who are actually dying, yes, in these Gulf countries. It's not a joke. Oh yeah. So now let's move on. Move on. So the Karabakh thing, it's a disaster. So now let's have a look at what's actually going on, the type of things that are going on in the Gulf countries. Um, wait. That Karabakh truck picture, the second one didn't get through, so I'll send it again. What do you call it? Yes. Is it because these people are Christian that nobody's talking about them? But then the mysterious silence of the Europeans and the Americans, they've just shown a little bit that we're talking entire cities and villages of people. Everybody's just gone. Yes, 100,000 people, not a million, but still, this is a joke. Where are they going to go? Where are they going to sleep? What are they going to eat? I mean, just because they don't have a billion Muslim brothers or a billion Christians or anybody to help them, it doesn't mean that we should ignore this. Okay, now let's get back to the Gulf countries. Yes, so what do you call it? Saudi Arabia. Yes, things like the Saudi men can't marry Bangladeshis, Pakistanis, and other things. I don't know if it was a temporary law, but even in Pakistan, the people were upset saying we get treated like trash over there. And they're asking, why can't Pakistani men marry Saudi women? Oh, yeah, by the way, why can't, Pakistanis, Bangladeshi citizens and Indians, why can't they marry any of these Arab women over there? Oh, by the way, Gaza's got a lot of oil and gas. Let's say if Gaza becomes independent and they bring Pakistani, Bangladeshi workers, how are they going to treat them? These are serious questions. So the thing is, this is a bigger issue. Yes. So the thing is, this is not just made up information. Here's from the Express: Saudi men banned from marrying Pakistani women. Yes. So what the hell is going on here? Yes. And then it's well known racism in the Arab world against Pakistanis, Moroccans, Algerians, Egyptians, Sri Lankans, Indians. Yes. And so the thing is, it's a serious issue. And then the thing is, Palestine's forgotten oil and gas resources. Yes. What will they do if they're going to bring workers from these Muslim territories known as Pakistan or Egypt? How are they going to treat these people? This is a serious question. So the thing is, we have to address all the issues. You can't ignore and say 10,000 people who've died. Yes, in the Middle East over there, and they're paying them slave labor wages. And the local people won't even work for this, and they'll say, I'll never work for this. Are you joking? Yes, the local Arabs won't even do it. Yes, so these issues need to be looked at. So now let's get back to Palestine. So now the thing is, when the British took over, yes, they were issuing passports to the Polish people who were coming. So, of course, the British called them the Palestine passports. The local people didn't call it that. Palestine. The Polish people are coming. So, here is the Palestine passports. And then we'll see that, what do you call it? There's wait, there's what do you call it, Christian priests and everything. What do you call it? Don't know who he is, but these people are saying yes, the Palestinians are Arabs. No, it's not. The Palestinians, and that name was invented. The Palestinians. Yes, it was invented from there. Yes, and then what do you call it? Yes, we can even see this even in the history. Many people, the Hebrew dictionaries have been falsified. Yes, Greater Israel. Yeah, the way things are going, there's going to be settlements in Jordan soon, Israeli settlements in Syria soon, in Lebanon soon. They call it Eretz Israel, or however you want to pronounce it. The pronunciation has been invented, but has anybody thought maybe it means Rosh Israel or Russia Israel? Yes, like we have Perussia, yes, and Russia. It's because flamenco shows that Israel was a civilization that was Eurasia. Yes, it was all the Asians and the Europeans. Yes, and then the thing is, when this priest is showing this, he's showing this that the Bibles, especially, yes, after the 1850s and 60s, they started publishing in the 19th century in the Bibles, yes, saying Palestine or the Holy Land, and they're trying to claim it's the Middle East. And the war is going to go on because, according to these maps, yes, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan, all of these lands are part of the Israel of the Bible, according to what they've
Right.
invented. Yes, and then they've given a fake history that you can even see. They've given a fake history, and they've turned around and said the term Palestine or Palestine comes from the word Palashet. Yeah, Palashet. Yeah, Polish. Yes, and then they're saying, what do you call it? Yes, we can't really find it. What do you call it, in the Septuagint? Yes, things like this, and it's like an invented name. Yes, so it shows that the Bible must have been written recently. So now let's go forward a bit more. Yes, so we know that the Jewish civilization in Poland started sometime after the Renaissance. It says Jewish printing establishments in Poland started in the first quarter of the 16th century. Yes, and the oldest synagogue is the 15th century. Yes, but if we remove the 100 years of forgery, it's about the 17th century. And then the first synagogue, there's no evidence of this, and we can't even prove it. It's just, hearsay and speculation, same like, oh, the pyramids, we don't know how they built it, aliens, blah, blah, blah. Yes, and so the thing is, before, like you can find other encyclopedias. Yes, like let me just show one here. Yes, and other encyclopedias. Let me just show who these people are. Have you got it? The Evo Encyclopedia.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. What do you call it? The Evo Encyclopedia is the history of Jewish people in Eastern Europe. Yes, or what we call Poland, Lithuania. So now the thing is, this is not me. So this is what Jewish people themselves say right now, or the people who control Jewish history, the people in power. Now, according to them, yes, I've just sent it to you. Have you found it? So that you know who is Yivo?
Hmm.
Yes, according to them, yes, what do you call it? That it was only by the end of the 17th century that Polish Jewry had the highest number of Jews of any other Jewish population center. Yes, until what do you call it? You could say the 20th century. Yes, and the majority of the Jews of at that time, those Jews, yes, not the Jews of that I've written about in my books, the followers of Moses. Now, if anybody wants to know what about the Jews of the Middle Ages and who was the kingdom of Judah, yes, if you've not read it, I can't do anything. It's in my book, The Last Crusade, yes, and it's in my book, Jesus Christ, yes, and the explanations of the several meanings of Judah. So if you've not read it, I can't do anything, to waste time and put it in a video here. Yes. So I have written about these things. Yes. So it's like now we're talking 17th century, according to the Evo Jewish Encyclopedia. So now if we remove the 100 years that we can't find from the Napoleon to the Napoleon, yes, then it means it's not the end of the 17th century, but the end of the 18th century. You see? And that means it's only recent history and we can trace the history. You see? Do you see what
Yes.
I'm getting at?
Mm-hmm.
That means, as Henry Atlan said, Henry Atlan is a Jewish, from a Jewish background, and he is a very famous professor. You know, he's done a lot of work to show that Judaism was invented after Christianity and after Islam. Yes, people can find his works online. He's what do you call it? A French professor. His origin is Jewish, and he even says it. His exact words are Judaism is not chronologically the first one God religion, but in fact the third. It was invented in the Middle Ages following Christianity and Islam in reaction against these two religions. Who created it? Now, when we say the Middle Ages, Professor Fomenko shows they added this 1,000 years on. So now when we look at the evidence, we turn and see, hey, Jewish people are mysteriously turning up in Europe, or the current form of Judaism, only in the 17th, 18th century. This means about 200, 300 years ago. So now let's get back to Palestine, or to Poland, and what do we see? By the end of the 15th century, they say the 15th century, there may have been, it's just a guess, 18,000 Jews in the Kingdom of Poland. That's it. And then 6,000 Jews in Lithuania. At that time, Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Poland and Lithuania. Yeah, yeah. You know this history? Yes,
Let
yes,
me
Raphael.
see. Well, I know. All right. Mm-hmm.
Polish-Lithuanian
Mm-hmm.
Commonwealth. You've
Right,
not
right,
heard of
right,
it?
right, right. Yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So now the thing is, they've turned around and said, what do you call it, 15th century. I couldn't find this history. It looks like it turned up in the 17th century and started growing in the 18th century. So now, when I've said that, what do you call it, the Arabic people in that region are not Palestinians. That place has never been called Palestine. Yes. Now, when we have a look at Ottoman documents and the Turks, yes, and Palestinian documents, this place was known as Kudus-i Sharif. The city Jerusalem was called Quds, was never called Jerusalem. They've translated it as Mutasharifate of Jerusalem. No, it was Mutasharifate of Kudus, or yes, or sheriff. You know, like the sheriff, the police. Yes. So
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, the entire region, yes, what is known as Israel or Palestine today, yes, to the local people was actually called Kudus or Quds. Yes, so all these Muslims who are protesting should actually say, free, free Quds, free, free Kudus. That's what the land is called. Yes, it was never called Palestine. Even the local people are saying it's Palestine. And then we can even see, recent maps, 19th century, 20th century, the Ottoman Empire was still here, that the maps show that that land was called Kudus al-Sharif. It has never been called Palestine. That the name Palestine has its origin. Where does it say it?
In the
Yes.
Hebrew, Peleshed.
Yeah, Polish.
Mm-hmm.
Polishstein. Yes, Poland. Yes. Palestine is Polishstein. Palestine's in Poland. Yes. And that Palestine in Poland is gone now. The Jews have left there, so Palestine does not exist. Yes. And that land over there is actually Kudus al-Sharif. Yes, and that's what it is, and that's the reality. And then, of course, they invented the full history, ancient Palestinians, and all this garbage. Yes, what do you call it? The invention of ancient Palestinians, Philistines, and all these things. They've invented them, and and they've invented the entire history. That I'll just send this quickly as a reminder that the Palestinians themselves, they even say Al Quds is not Jerusalem. Yeah, actually, there was a message in one of the videos, something like Al Quds is not Jerusalem, and it will never be Jerusalem. Yes, it's Al-Quds. Yes, the thing is, we find it in Palestinian, the Arab publications. Al-Quds is not Jerusalem. These are the local people. Yes, and then what do you call it? There's many people who, I call them liars. They're going to say, there was a liar. I call it a liar. Yes, because they're misleading people. Yes, and they're turning around and saying, what about the Christians? They've been going to holiday to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Now, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, we can see the domes being put there in the 20th century and everything under the British occupation and everything. And then, what do you call it? Yes, people will say that building's been for centuries. No, it was only built in the 19th century. Of course, they've given a false date that they started constructing it in 1809 by Nikolaos Komnenos of Lesbos, but this history is a forgery. Can't even find it. I couldn't find it, couldn't verify it, that it must have been built and finished in the 1830s. For construction started and probably finished by the 1860s. Yes. So the thing is, it's a total lie. Yes. So that's the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, and then when the Polish Jews from Palestine started going to what we call Palestine, yes, what we will find is more suspicious history. Yes, what we will find is what do you call it? They'll turn around and say there was a Jewish community inside Jerusalem. Oh yeah. So the thing is, many people won't investigate, but if you investigate, then you will find that these buildings were only built in the 19th century. Yes, and they're not even old. And in the 20th century, here is what do you call it, Hurba Synagogue. Yes, and the thing is, when anybody has a look at the history of this synagogue, yes, we're going to see that what do you call it? Yes, they turn around and say, no, this synagogue was built on a land that was wasteland. Yeah, and it was desolate for. You can read it yourself. How long was it desolate for, Raphael?
I have
In
to
the middle.
find it. So
The plot became known as the ruin
the
of
plot,
Hurba,
yeah, the plot became known as the ruin or Hurva, okay, where it lay desolate for 116 years until it
and
was
then it was
resettled in
resettled
1837.
37 by Ashkenazi Jewish community known as Polishim. Perishim.
Hmm.
Polishim. Yes, and in 1864, resettled means somebody has come. It doesn't mean there's a synagogue there. It was built in 1864. Yes. 1864. Then it was destroyed by the British forces, but they're going to turn and say it was the Arab forces. The Arab Legion I described was British. There was no Arab invasion of Israel trying to wipe out Israel off the map. Yes, in 1948 or in 1956, those were British invasions. Yes, and French invasions, and they're just lying. So now the thing is, I'll send it again so that people can read it clearly. Yes, that's like one of the first synagogues there. Yes, so we can't find even what do you call it? Yes, we can't even find what do you call it? The Jewish community there. Yes, and then the word Farsi, Firan, and Palestine, and all these things. Soon people will understand what this is. Yes, that what do you call it? The word parish means to separate. Yes, to separate or to divide. Yes. So now we've got the parashim or the Palashim or Polishstein or Palestine. It divided Europe. Europe was at war. Russia, Germany, and that place, I'll go to it in a minute. So now, what do you call it? Yes, these names are very important. Yes, who were these people? The Parashim, yes, or the people who were dividing. They were disciples of Vilna Gaon. This is very important. Elijah ben Solomon Zalman, or Salman, if you want to say it in the Arabic way, who left Lithuania at the beginning of the 19th century. Yes, because the 19th century, they added on 100 years. It's more like at the end of the 19th century, not the beginning. Yes, if you don't read Napoleon didn't exist, you won't know this. So what do you call it? Yes, I can't be bothered reading out the whole book here, but that information is there. The entire century is a joke. It doesn't exist. So now the thing is, the synagogue wasn't there. There's nothing there. Now, the biggest synagogue in Israel, yeah, at that time, yes, in the 18, it was only built in 1872. Yes, it was called Tiferet Israel, or Glory of Israel. That was only built in 1872. So the thing is, I'm going to send a picture of it. You will find it in the old photographs of Jerusalem 100 years ago. So now the thing is, what do you call it? This was the center of the Hasidic community. It's very important. Oh, they opened it on the 19th of August. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
nothing suspicious about that. Yes, or maybe the history was a fraud. Yes, so now let's have a look at this. Like the Russian, who are the Russians? The Russians are the French. I'm going to go through this in a minute, and they're the followers of Firaun. I've explained this before, or Pharaoh. The Russians, it wasn't a separate nation at the time. The fake Napoleon and the invasions. Well, anyway, in 1843, yes, that there was no what do you call it, Christian churches or anything. You can't even find Christianity there. That Tsar Nikolai I in the 1850s wanted to buy land to build an Orthodox church. You see, because Jerusalem is in Europe. That place is not Jerusalem. There was no Christian churches there, no synagogues, nothing. It was just local people, and they were just Muslims. That is the reality, and all these other people are just inventing lies. Lies saying, hey, there was all these people who were coming for centuries. There's a comment there. If that person watches, are they going to admit it and say, I was wrong? Oh no, I doubt it. These people will just put another comment and something to see people. Here is the Israel uh, um, synagogue again, the Tiferet synagogue. Yes, and the thing is, have a look at it. Yes, it was the biggest there at the time, and then they turn around and say the Arab Legion destroyed it. Yes, in 1940. What do you call it? Yes, and in 1967, have a look at the architecture and the walls. You don't know the difference if that's Roman or Greek. Can you see the difference?
Mm-hmm.
No. So in the same way they invented ancient Rome and Greece, yeah, they've invented ancient Israel. And the things they just used many ruins like this, and then they showed it. Have a look in the background. You can see the Tiferet Israel synagogue. It's the biggest building in the Jewish quarter. Yes, or what they said was the Jewish quarter. Yes, and they'll say the Arab Legion destroyed it in 1948. That synagogue and the other one, and all this information is in my books. And then the thing is, they're spreading this history that's causing racism, hatred. Yes, it's causing all the battles. Why did the Arabs destroy dozens of synagogues? Yes, yeah. So what do you call it? Yes, and the thing is, Americans united with Israel. This is just spreading hate. All this history is a lie. Jerusalem synagogue rises from ashes. The Jordanian Arab Legion blew up the two tallest synagogues. Arab. So the thing is, did this Arab Legion even exist? Yes. So now let's have a look at this Arab Legion. And then what do we find? Yes. The Arab Legion, they turn around and say the Arabs invaded. Yeah. What do you call it? Yes. What do we find about the Arab Legion? Yes. Go to the bottom. What does it say? Glubb was one such. Glubb was a British general. What do we see there?
His Arab Legion was the best trained military unit in the Middle East and arguably the best outside of the First World.
Yeah. And then go to the second sentence. His legion had what type of officers? British officers.
Right.
It was a British army. It was simply a British army, and they've invented this history. Yes, now the Arab Legion, I will go through it clearer. Yes, because some people will say that's not big enough writing. Okay, I'm prepared for you. Few people who are going to say the Arabs were invading Israel. They didn't like the Jews. They blew up the synagogues. This Arab Legion that was run by Glubb, General Glubb, a British general, in what do you call it? In each of the battalions, there were fighting Jews. There were and things like this were British, 4 British officers per battalion. Yes. And what do you call it? Yes. Jordanians could come to senior command, but they were just workers. Yes. And they filled just 7 of the 44 officer posts, only 7. Yes. And what do you call it? Yeah. The British official rolls record 46 of their army officers in this legion. It was a British legion. The British invaded and attacked the Israelis. It was the British and the French. Yes, then they're going to turn and say Gamal Abdel Nasser invaded from the north. Well, at that time, Egypt was occupied by the British. The British were ruling Egypt. I've said this before, but just to make it a bit clear and to make it a bit easy, I want to see who in the right mind is going to believe this history. Here is 1947, around that time, or yes, here is just one British barracks in Cairo, Qasr el-Nil. Yeah, Qasr al Nil barracks. And the thing is, have a look. This is the just one. There's many barracks. Yeah, they've got many barracks throughout Egypt, and they're saying that the Egyptians got past the British. They didn't have no weapons, and the
Right.
Egyptians invaded Israel. Sure. Yeah. And what do you call it? Yeah. And what do you call it? Yes. And the British in Cairo at that time. Yeah, I'm going to enlarge this. The army is walking around. They had martial law, but no, the Arabs raised an army in Egypt and they invaded Gaza. Yeah, and you could read it there. What do you call it? The British troops in Cairo shoot dead. So they've invented a history, and it contradicts what they're even saying. They're lying. How can it's like this? The Americans invaded Iraq, and then they're going to turn and say, "Oh, we rule the country, but Iraq has just invaded Germany." Rubbish!
Right.
How could it have? The Americans are inside. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, the Americans occupied it. The British were occupying Egypt. They'll turn around and say, "Oh, Jordan was independent by then." Rubbish! The British Army's there, and they've trained a few local people. Like in the American Army, we see mercenaries, other things. Yes, and the thing is, these local people had no guns, nothing. It was martial law, military law, and people expect me to believe all this. Yes, it sounds like garbage. Now the thing is, now let's move on. So now it's clear Palestine is Palestine. They invented the name. These local people are the people of Quds, Kudus. Yes, the Christian history is a lie. There was no Christian churches there, no Jewish synagogues there. The local people will say this, but yeah, now the Muslims who are living in Europe and America because they believe this Western history, which is total utter garbage, they're going to say, "Oh, that place is Jerusalem. They've been going there for centuries." Yes, there is no name Jerusalem there. Nothing. None of these places even existed. All the places were invented by what do you call it? The British and the French. They invented these names because they had their agendas. Yeah, and then the thing is, the location of what many people don't know. Wait, let me just send you a bit more information. Like here is an example. Let's just have a look at this. Yes, have a look at this. And when we read this, it says, this is from, I forgot what, it's in the 19th century. At that time, only about 10% of British Americans, Australians spoke English, the rest of them couldn't. But that 10% is a lot when we got Canada, Australia, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, United States, New Zealand. So now it says, "We who sit at home." This is in the 19th century. Think of Syria as Jewish land. Yeah, look at this. Syria as Jewish land. This is a warning about the future. The conflict's going to spread. Same like what do you call it, Palestine. The Jewish settlement spread in other places, and I will explain how they spread. Yes, people have got the right to go everywhere. Now the thing is, we've got to do this peacefully. They need a Middle Eastern Union, like we've got the European Union. Yeah, Muslims should be able to travel to Israel, which they've started to make agreements like the Abraham Accords. Dubai people will go to Israel. Yes, if the Saudis make a deal, they'll do the same. We need a permanent solution. This cannot continue. Yes, and now if people are just not going to look at the history, if we see what actually happened to Palestine, because of Palestine, many people actually turn around and say that World War One and Two actually happened because of the Jewish people. Yes, many people actually say this. It's actually in history that they turn around and say the rise of the Nazi Party and everything because they blamed the Jewish people. Many people are, and the pogroms in Eastern Europe and in Russia, that are blaming the Jewish people for anything that went wrong. Now, in the Middle East, it's a similar thing. Yes, and of course, many people will say, yes, Israel is occupied land, it's persecuting people, etc. Yeah, I'm going to go through that in a minute. So, a similar thing happened 100 years ago, 150 years ago. Now, if we don't look at this history, it means we won't learn from the mistakes. And what was the result? Who created Palestine? Who created it and why? Who has now created this current Palestine and why? So anyway, it says, what do you call it? Yes, 150 years ago, Syria. They called many people called Palestine, Syria, Lebanon, Syria, Jordan. They called it all Syria. It says, we who sit at home think of Syria as Jewish land and suppose that if we traveled it, we will be greeted at every turn with Jewish history, Jewish memorials. People went there, they found nothing. Travelers bring a different tale. Almost every trace of Jewish history has faded away or been buried beneath the soil. Of course, because British and French and
Yeah, then they
Italian
can
Vatican.
go and dig it out, quote unquote,
Yeah, they
or
turned and said, we just found it. Yes. And but by that time, they convinced people to think Rome is still Rome, Athens has Greek citizens, because Greece is another fake. In the same way that Israel is being created now, Greece was created 100 years ago. And they said, what do you call it? And this is people, this is in the North British Review, this magazine. What does it say about El Quds? What did they say?
El Quds is not Jerusalem.
Yes, people went there and they said it's not Jerusalem. There's no Christians here, no Jews here. Yeah, we can't find any monuments, no nothing. Yeah, and they said Nablus is an Arab city. It's not Shechem. Yeah, Sebustia is not Samara. Yes, Tusur is not Tyre. They've changed the name to Tyre now. Yes, El Khalil is not Hebron. These localities are identical, yes, to the Bible, but are identical in names, but the identifying features are few. Yeah. And the thing is, half effaced means at that time, they started building a synagogue, building churches. This, that, the Russians
Right.
and the French are coming. You know what I mean? It's just a total invention, total forgery. Now, some people are going to say, I made this up. Let's have a look at this. Yes, of course, they forged the dates of the 19th century. Yeah, there's something wrong with the calendar. This is the North British Review, 1858. Yes, 1858. Yes, the forged the calendar, but it's around that time. It's in the 19th century. Yes. Um, what do you call it? Yes. And then the thing is, people are turning around and saying what we call Temple Mount or Al-Aqsa Cathedral, the Muslim mosque. Yes. And the thing is, even the BBC, the only evidence of an Israel or King Solomon's temple being in Quds or Kudus, pronounce it how you want. The only evidence is the Bible. There are no other records describing it, and to date there has been no archaeological evidence of the temple at all. Nothing whatsoever. Oh, there's a few things they're finding now. They're all forgeries. Yes, and then somebody's going to turn and say, what about some of the paintings and the pictures? Yes, that we found showing that Jerusalem is El Quds. Now, if you've got two different conflicting accounts, one painting shows that Jerusalem is Istanbul, one Jerusalem shows that it's Edinburgh, yes, one Jerusalem shows that it's Moscow, another one shows that it's Paris, we can find the history of all these four. But the Jerusalem being in Quds, we can't find this history at all. It means it was invented by the British, French, and the Vatican because of their objectives, something to do with Palestine and something to do with Palestine. And let's investigate further to see what was it and what was it, or why would they do this? There must be some serious reason as to why they have done this. Why have they invented it? So the thing is, of course, in history, yes, like for example, the Bible says, what do you call it, King David existed. Yes. So now when we check the history, we can find that there was a King David, but he was in the Middle Ages somewhere, and more like in Eurasia, not just a small civilization or a King Solomon. That we've got these duplicates. Professor Anatoly Fomenko goes through it. I go through it in my books too. If you haven't read it, it's a long story. Now let's look at this. Yes, the actual conflict itself. Yeah, here we see, the Israeli army. Yes, they're arresting little kids. A proud army. They're so brave. Yes. Oh, by the way, we call it arresting, but they call it kidnapping. What's the difference between an arrest and a kidnap? Oh, by the way, they got to pay cash for their release, hundreds of dollars, sometimes thousands of dollars. That's a kidnapping. Yes. Oh, Hamas does the same thing. So now let's have a look at this. These are brave soldiers. We have to be proud of them. They're fighting terrorists. Yes. What do you call it? Yes. They're pointing guns at children. We don't know. Those children could be future terrorists. We don't know. What do you think, Raphael? We got to deal with this. They're going to be future terrorists. Don't you think so, Raphael?
Well,
Okay, now let's actually go through the violence itself. So now the Israeli army just stands there doing nothing. They don't. He's just holding his gun. He's not what do you call it, doing anything. And that's Jewish people who've come from Europe or America or other places. They're throwing rocks at Arabic people who are on the other side. I've made this bigger to show you they won't do anything. Yes. So the thing is, and the thing is, this is on the mainstream news, so it's nothing to be shocked with. This is normal mainstream news. Here you see somebody walking with an axe going towards the Arabs, another one going with a metal bar. There's a video of this. They actually, seriously hurt people there. On the other side, yes, it's not just the Jewish people. Yes, on the other side, the Western media will actually show what you call it. Yeah, the Muslims are doing the same thing, but the Muslims, what you call it, do less damage. Yes, and then we actually see what we call the people of God, being very friendly and polite. Yes, this is in the British Guardian newspaper. Yes, people abusing people, insulting people just as they walk past. You know, yes, that's what we see. If it was an Arabic person who did it, I wonder what would happen, what the military would do. What would they do? What can we see what the military does? If an Arabic woman is going to swear back or something, what's he doing here? Yeah,
well,
these
the official term is arrest, but you called it kidnapping, I guess.
he's not even kidnapping. He's kicking her. He's kicking her.
Right.
Old women. These are brave soldiers. They're fighting terrorists. We've got to stick up for them. That old lady is a terrorist. Yes, he's a hero. Yes, chosen by God. Yes, and the thing is, the thing is, what's going on? This is the reality here. Yes, the Israeli army has, arrested just during the Intifada over 50,000 people, up to 100,000 people. They're arresting terrorists. We can see he's taking a terrorist there. That terrorist is so dangerous. The soldiers were so brave. Yes, and things like this. Here is more. The
And let
soldiers
me just
are.
say, I mean, you pointed already out why that is, but if you were just to exchange the individuals and put, let's say, one side and the other, and put the one in the military uniforms and the other one in rags, especially with this population there, oftentimes you probably couldn't even tell who is who. You know
Come
what I'm
on,
saying?
Raphael, can't you see this new picture? The soldiers actually arrested, kidnapping a terrorist. That's a terrorist there, a 5-year-old terrorist. Come on, Raphael, whose side are you on? What's going on here? Yes, and the thing is, what do you call it? Yes, um, uh, uh, they're not abusing people. We've got 6, 7-year-old children here. In case they're not children, they're terrorists. He's pointing the gun at them. The soldier is so terrified for his life. These 6-year-old terrorists might kill him. He's just defending himself. Yes, don't you think so?
Yeah, it's a bad
Yes.
look. Hmm.
Yeah, no, no, no. Yeah, it's bad luck for the soldier. Poor soldier. Here they've arrested a 3-year terrorist. You're a 4-year-old. Sorry. Yes. The Muslims will say kidnapped. Yes, I've got Muslim viewers. They're kidnapping 3-year-old kids here, 4-year-old kids here, and what do you call it? Yes, yeah, and even if European people go there to protect people, they're just hospitalizing people, and if it's on video, they'll suspend them. But if it's not on video, they won't suspend them or something. Attacking them with
But also, it
guns and
should be
everything.
clear that aside from these things apparently happening, there is also a reason why at least certain media would be pushing that. Because aside from individual wrongdoings that happen so often, it's also just about again stirring up the animosities, no? In the
Yes,
larger frame.
but Raphael, these 5-year-old children are terrorists.
Yeah, that's ridiculous, obviously. Yeah.
No, 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 no. Whose side are you on?
Yeah. No,
Who do you stand
yeah.
with? Yeah,
Yeah.
these are brave soldiers. They're terrified. Yes. Okay, now let's go through more. Now, this is, what do you call it? This is from the Daily Mail. So now the thing is, why I said these protests, people have to think again. Now, here, they're teaching, this is the Muslims now, they're teaching Palestinian children to actually hold weapons, even if it's a toy weapon or something. Yes, the thing is, because now the conflict is getting out of control. Now, many people don't see it. It could lead to an Armageddon in the entire region, like we saw Armageddons in Europe, World War One and Two. Many people have not really examined why they happened. So the thing is, this this cannot continue, because if a World War III happens, it's going to be our fault. We've ignored this, and then the Muslims have ignored this, and the Christians. They're just protesting on either side, yes, and things like this, and they don't know what's going on. And some people are saying, "Hey, we don't need to know," and then the number 19 isn't important. Yes, it is. Because then we can see that they're just having fake meetings, fake actors and everything, and they're not even doing anything at these peace accords. Oslo Accord, they made it on the 19th. Yeah, you can go and check it.
Hmm.
Oslo 1, they signed it in Norway, and then the ceremony in America, and then the treaty was dead in 2020 on the 19th. This is on my book, by Mahmoud Abbas. Both these leaders, the Israelis and the Palestinians, they're all actors. Yeah, so now let's have a look. Yeah, here are Israeli children, Jewish children. Yes, the next generation is being brainwashed worse than ever before.
Right.
Yes, with weapons. Yes, and the thing is, this is in the Washington Post. I'm only going to send pictures from the mainstream media, so because I don't want anyone to say that what do you call it? And I'm not choosing sides. I'm showing that this is going to be one of the worst things ever. And the thing is, if it's not a question of winning or losing, that everyone knew that there was the Palestine, or Poland, and many people blamed the Jews for causing instability in Europe. The matter was settled when the communists and the Nazis walked in. For them, that they thought, hey, Europe's unity is at stake. The communists took one half of Europe, and what they did to the Jewish people, and then the Nazis took the other half, what they did to the Jewish people. Yes, and then the European Union is one result, and the Russian Federation is the other. Now, in the Middle East, it's a British project to actually unite the Middle East, and the French project, and the Vatican one. Yes, they invented. Oh, with the British soldiers
And
there, you
just to be
saw the
clear,
thing.
by unite, you just mean get them under a common
No, no, no.
control.
There's more. You saw the soldiers, the pictures. Yes, the British occupied Cairo. Now there's all these Muslim history books in Cairo. Who the hell wrote them? Let me just show you again. The British Army. Yes, they were patrolling these mosques. They controlled it. They put these books there that many people say some disgusting things are in them. And it's a British and a French idea. When I say uniting, it means that the people will obey the authority and obey the law. Because currently, in most Muslim countries, the public does not obey the government. Why don't they have proper elections or democracies? What is an election in democracy? It means you've accepted the people in power and you're going to pay them cash. You can't
Yes.
build a house where you want. They control all the land and
They
everything.
tax everything, they make the laws for
Yeah.
you.
So now,
Yeah.
now in the Muslim countries, the average person doesn't recognize this. You see now. Are you beginning
That's a
to see?
problem for the pharaonic system, of course, to the extent
Yes,
that this is
for the new world
exercised.
order. So now let's move forward and have a look. I mean, this is just ridiculous. Yes, and Palestinian Authority magazine. Yes, what are they doing here? Who runs the Palestinian Authority? The evidence shows from the mathematical codes. It shows that the British, French, the Americans, and the Vatican, and the Masons and the Jesuits, they control the Palestinian Authority. That's why I call him an idiot. Yes, making a public statement saying these mathematics and these numbers don't mean anything. Yes, they do. It's because if you don't know the history, you will not know the solution. What do you mean? What are you going to achieve by protesting? They've got an objective, and you can see it in the mathematical codes that it's for the next 50 years. For the next 50 years or
And the
100 years, it's
people
not going to stop.
protesting against each other's populace in a way, or being angry at them instead of
What do the
everyone. In,
what do the guns show you, Raphael? It shows you they're training the next generation. That's what it shows. Yeah, and those are Arab children. Now let's have a look at Israeli children. What what does this show you? What is this showing you? Yes, and this is the EU Observer, and they're
honestly,
saying
kind
it's
of
the
reminds me of
last
the
chance to
pictures people sometimes show from North Korea, where you have all in the kindergarten, you have the nuclear bombs or whatever they say on the
yeah.
walls and everywhere. Yeah.
Anyway,
Militarizing the mindset.
yeah, it's because I want to fit in a lot of information in this. That's why I keep trying to move on. Yeah, yes, sorry about that. I don't want to go into North Korea. So look at this. What do you call it? Yes, the Palestinians have no army. Israel has an army. That's the difference. Okay, the civilian violence going on, but what is the Israeli army doing? I mean, does that child's a terrorist? Oh no, no, no. It's not. What is the Israeli army doing? Sorry, that soldier's terrified. You know, maybe the soldier's defending himself. Oh my God, that's a terrorist. What are we going to do?
Well, the
You
real
know,
problem, of course, is, and this has been discussed somewhat, because you said, in a way, in a not very serious sense, but it's a serious question, you said, oh, he's a terrorist or he's a future terrorist. Well, if anything, and especially if the brainwashing
okay,
continues, these kind of incidents make it most likely
yes,
to radicalize every side even more.
yeah, you're making. Look at this. The soldier's defending himself. He's proud and he's so brave that they've made a history that Israel will be so proud of itself if it's still there in 100 years' time. Like, look at Germany today. Many German people can't show their face when it comes to history. They won't even talk about it. What are these people doing? The people in power are doing this to the Jewish people. That's what they're doing because they've done it in such a way. Yes, what do you call it? That many Jewish people can't show their faces. That the people in power are doing this, and they're using the name of the Jewish people. So
Yes.
that's why there is many Jewish people who are speaking up. Now it doesn't matter if they're Orthodox and you don't like it. Yes, they're turning around and saying, what do you call it? Israel does not. That state doesn't represent us. Yes, and the thing is, what do you call it? Yes, and it's not just religious Jews; it's actually secular Jews now. Who many secular Jews in Europe and America actually reject Israel. Yes, for example, here you'll see what do you call it? Many protests are organized by Jewish people in England and in America and in France, and they're actually rejecting what's going on.